We got the market open coming up in just a couple of seconds from now, and we'll get on with it in terms of indices, stocks, news flow, everything. So what do we have? First rates, it's higher by, I think, about 50-60 points, 23,400 plus, but dithering in the first couple of seconds, actually. The Nifty Bank is up 0.4%, 50,588 on the Nifty Bank. The Sensex is about 0.25% higher right now. What do we have? I mean, did we see some red, or was that fleeting? I think we just refreshed that. I saw some sharp changes, but 0.1, 0.15 odd percent on the Nifty and the Sensex basically is what you're starting with. The Nifty Bank is more clear in that sense with a 0.5% odd pop. Mid caps are flat. Small cap index is also absolutely flat. On the Nifty, the heat map is up on your screen, and I think you've got about 14-15 names in the green. With the rest, which are starting down. And of course, you can see Enterprises and Ports, the two Adani Group stocks, are amongst those in the red right now. Surabhi.
Yeah, well, 50 points up on the Nifty. So it's a bit tentative, but I think it's holding, at least for now. Gainers include the likes of ONGC. There are some banking names right on top. Actually, the Bank Nifty is doing better than the Nifty. It's leading from the front. So ICICI Bank, 1%. There's SBI up about 0.7% as well. Let's do a check on HDFC Bank and what that's doing. Yeah, also 0.5% higher. So your big banks are really participating today, which is good news for the index. Reliance, we just discussed some of those brokerage notes, sounding quite optimistic on the refining business pickup. 0.5% up on RIL as well. There is, apart from this, there's Wipro, NTPC, Tata Consumer, Infosys, HUL. These are the early movers on the upside, and plenty of them are the large cap heavyweight big boys. So that's good news for the index. The index, by the way, is now notching up a gain of about 66 points. So the bulls are trying to build. On the downside, on the index, there's, of course, Adani Ports. Then there is Titan. A couple of steel counters, actually, a little weak. JSW Steel and Tata Steel are on the lower side. On the Adani Group, just to complete the picture, most of them are down between 4 to 5%. Enterprises down about 3%. Power down about 3%. Adani Green is still down about 8.5%. So those are some of the early trends. Mid-cap index, though, already in the red.
Well, that's right, Surabhi. And a few stocks actually are deserving special mention. You have Acume Drugs as well as Zagel. Both those two stocks, 5% circuit, both of them higher. The Adani Group stocks, Green, Energy Solutions, Power, Total Glass, Ports, all of them are lower. InfoEdge, that's the stock actually of the morning, because there's been an upgrade note coming from Goldman Sachs. They've upgraded the stock to buy from sell. The target price as well has moved up from around 5,700 to around 8,600. They believe the demand environment for India IT is incrementally improving, and they expect this to drive an acceleration in the company's recruitment segment revenues to around 16% CAGR in the next few years. So that explains why that stock, well, just take a look at it. Big move is what we're seeing out there. Cross, the recently listed company, that one as well is up close to around 4% as we speak. Shobha is another stock that's doing well. I think there's a note that's coming from Investec. The stock is up close to around 4% or thereabouts. I think they've initiated coverage on that one with a good target price. So that one, Shobha, after correcting, I think from around 2,000 rupees to around 1,500 rupees, one of the reasons why the stock is doing well is because of this note. The other one is Genesis. That stock as well is up close to around 4%. Not too bad on the headline index. We're up close to around 60 points. We're still holding on to those gains. The bulls will want to build on from here. So let's see how that goes.
Protein's really interesting. I went back to check the price at which NSE is selling, and that price is fairly lower compared to the current market price. NSE is selling its 20% chunk at about 1,550. Price on the screen after this 8% decline is also 1,700. So these days, when you have large blocks in the market, usually people love it, and that too for companies where they seem to understand a growth runway. But here, I think this pricing is a little disappointing.
It's an OFS, so that's a base price. That 1,550 bucks is the base price, and then they'll be bidding on top of that. Yeah. So that's why, in fact, that's the base price that they have put out there. So I guess that's what's playing out.
All right, so basically you got about 50 odd points on the Nifty, 23,400 around there at this stage. And by the way, look at individual names, and the number one volume-led gainer. It's not the top gainer percentage-wise, but it's got volumes, and the largest volumes is Nalco. Nalco is up 1.25%, and the stock's at about 251 or so right now. There is, I think, InfoEdge, Nigel just mentioned. SJVN is up about 4.5%. It's got large volumes, third largest volumes. Afcons is up 2%. Afcons is a recent listing. Didn't do very much post the first couple of days after listing. KRN heat exchangers is up about 4%, 791 on KRN. There is Godrej Properties, which is up about 2.75%. Kernix Microsystems is up 4%. NLC India is up 2.5%. Sobha is up 4%. Sobha at 1580 now coming through. Oil India is coming up with about a 3% gain. There is Zaggle, which is up 5%. Zaggle did well, I think, yesterday as well, 486 or so on Zaggle. NIIT Limited, 4%. You know, look at this Jush Engineering. He's done phenomenally well. I think the stock was $20 in 2018-19. Stock's at 600 plus now. And they from what I remember, they essentially make these metal closures. I mean, you know, it's up big time. I think there was a roadshow recently for Jush, JASH. I rarely ever mention the name, but it's got volumes, and that's why I'm talking about it. IMFA is another one which Nigel has been talking about last few days. Did well yesterday. It's up another 2%, 814 on IMFA coming through. Now, overall market breadth is also shifting a little bit. And you've got 1450 stocks which are higher and 660 stocks which are lower. So decisively swinging towards more up than down. It was pretty close when we began the session a few minutes ago.
Well, just want to point out 3 stocks in the Adani Group. One is ACC Ambuja that we just discussed, with Rakesh. So because of the valuations, because of the potential of these assets and their tangible assets. So, both these two, they've recovered from the low point of the day. And the other one I'm looking at is Adani Ports. It's down close to around 2%, but in the first tick, it was down more than 5-6%. So a bit of bottom fishing, I think, is what we're seeing on all these 3 names. Keep an eye out on the 3 of them. Though the group still, there are plenty of queries, plenty of question marks as well. Investors will be a little bit nervous, but I think these 3 names, from the lows, they've seen a bit of a bounce.
Absolutely. And I think the high and low yesterday was 1160. And on the lower side, it was 995. It was the opening level. I mean, it barely lasted. It bounced and closed at 1114. We're at about 1088 at this point in time. But